right. Thanks, everybody. I'm really excited about what we're doing here with Bad Medicine. Bad Medicine is the podcast that we're going to jump into the market a little bit differently. We're going to be setting up an opportunity where we can podcast where we're actually talking about what's going on with mental health and PTSD, specifically in the world of first responders, the veterans, and the indigenous community. And one of the most important things that my co-host, Michael Adamswaite, and I want to do is invite all of you to join us. Just join the community, have a conversation, listen to what we've got going on as far as sound bites, giving everybody an opportunity to talk what's going on in their neck of the woods, what's going on in their job, in their life, their personal life, and share what is their best medicine. What is it that they do for them to get themselves into a better mental state and come at life with a little bit more of a positive outlook in things. So with that, I want to say hello to my co-host, Michael. How are you?
My friend, it is the best day ever. I'm excited to be here always with you and to be talking about what it is that I think is a universally shared thing. How's your day going? How's it going really? How's it really going? And there's so many different ways to start a day, but to start our day together is always a great way for me. So I'm doing wonderful, feeling blessed to be here, and obviously excited to have this opportunity. Best medicine, we talk, we review, we share, and we try and gain some perspective. We try and open our a box of lenses and get some of the dust off and say, okay, it's been a while since I really put myself in someone else's shoes, because you say, hey, how's your day going? It's so easy. Ian, good morning, my friend. Not everyone is really having the day that they could be having, that they should be having. So that's why we're here. I'm so, I guess, blessed to have this opportunity outside of what I do professionally, just to be a human, to have this dialogue, to empower everyone to talk. That's why we have our wonderful Staff Sergeant Andrew MacLeod here today. Andrew, how are you doing today?
I'm well, thanks. Yeah, it's good to be here.
Thank you for
Awesome.
coming, my
Great to
good
have
man.
you.
A little bit of history with this man, Michael. This gentleman and I have known each other for a couple of decades. That's how this relationship goes. We went to school together. We played sports together. We've stayed in contact, broke away from contact, got back in contact, stayed in contact. That's what friendships are all about. So, always awesome to have a good friend join and talk about what's going on. And it relates to what we're doing. It relates so much with what we're doing, and it's really great to tap into friends that can share what they've got going on. And like you're saying, like how is your day going on? What's going on with your day? And the big message out of that statement is not everybody's day is the same, and we're seeing that more constantly with mental health and especially with first responders.
Yeah.
That it's a big topic. It's a huge topic, and with that. I'll maybe grill you a little bit, Andrew, with where you guys started with becoming a first responder. Tell us a little bit about what you did to become, like, where was your mind out of high school? It was like, okay, this is exactly what I want to do. I want to jump into this world and jump into the world of first responding.
Yeah, well, it's funny you asked that because I think very much so after we finished high school, I was very much like most of us, directionless, no clue what to do. Wasn't a scholar by any means in the academic world, but I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to go to college, and once I was there, kind of got my feet under me and decided, well, I better take advantage of this opportunity that my parents have kind of set up for me here. So I think in my year two, after they were about to put me on academic probation, I started to get my crap together, and I started going, well, let's stop the socializing and maybe make some advantage of this. So I was fortunate enough to finish up with a Bachelor of Arts degree after 4 years. Um, Crawled it across the finish line, but I have it, so they can't take it away from me.
No, and the funny thing is when we talk about getting out of high school and into our real world, um,
Hmm.
people influence us along the way. I don't know who was the most
Yep.
influential in your life to make those decisions to jump into the world of policing.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think as far as influences, and I've been asked this before, like which who's your greatest influence? But I would say it would be very tough to just put it in one box. I mean, there's several major influences in my life. I mean, right, starting with my parents, especially my dad and his work ethic.
Yeah.
But I think if I look back to my more developmental years, I think you and I both share that same person, which was our football coach, and Gary Innes. He instilled in me that
Amazing man.
drive, that continue to work. Oh, you're hurting, get up, keep going. Like it was that fortitude, that resilience that was kind of embedded deep in the soul. And it's like I took that with me to today in my
Yeah.
life, and I try and teach my kids that whatever has you down or whatever has you knocked down, it's we don't quit, we don't give up. There's always something more you can do, and I think
I'm
he
gonna
brought that out in us.
So I'm going to pause right there. Michael, Gary Innes was an NHL goaltender, played for
Mhm.
Philadelphia, Washington Capitals through the 70s and 80s. The man with the golden glove was his claim to fame. They just had a tribute to him, Hockey Night in Canada, a few years ago. He had
Mhm.
passed. So it
Yeah.
was great to see he's still recognized as a great athlete. And yeah, absolutely one of the most influential people who ever played on a team for him and with him and got to know him, an amazing
Yeah.
influence on our lives that we both speak to. Every one of us that we play football together, we always say, so yeah, it's GI, Gary Innes, GI. That
Yeah,
he
Absolutely.
was such a huge influence.
I was getting a little choked up. I'm not sure whether the edit will yeah, I very much think back to a great man and a coach who was also pretty influential. So yeah, coaches, parents, yeah, it is part of growing up. Absolutely.
Mhm.
I echo that for sure.
So did you end up playing anything else after high school? Did you get into any other sports after that? What was your drive after that?
Obviously, nothing major. I'm not a retired professional athlete, so I continue to I continue to play hockey. Played some soccer and a little bit of rec rugby, but nothing extenuating after that. It was all more rec league and beer league kind of athletics, but fun just the same. I was happy to
Camaraderie.
play it.
Yeah, just hanging out
Yeah,
with the guys and
hundred
doing
percent.
stuff like that, right? That's
Yeah, exactly.
part of the best medicine. Get out there, hang out, do some activity, get
Yeah,
some stuff going on. So and then you
and
jumped into the world of no, go ahead.
well, yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I only just retired from hockey 2 years ago because with the Calgary Police Service, we have an intramural hockey league with over 300 players. So there's like 16 teams, and you
Nice.
play every year. So I've been playing for jeepers 30 some years now,
Uh,
continuous hockey. So that's been a lot of fun too. Just doing the physical activities and camaraderie and all that, like you said, Ian. It was it was part of that bonding within the job.
Now, how many years have you been doing the world of policing at Calgary Police?
25 25 years, which makes me a very old dude in the service. So especially as of late, I've had some rookies that have come on. I met with a guy a couple of weeks ago. He's brand new to our district and just getting to know him a little bit. Real sharp guy, super athletic, just a like very excited to be on the job. And we talked about his growing up and where he grew up, and then he asked me a few questions like, when did you start? And I said, well, I started in 1999. He goes, oh, that's the year I was born. And I'm like, get out of my office right now, like leave, we're done this conversation.
Yeah,
I
you're
don't want
too
to hear
young.
it.
You're too
But
young.
I'm
Get
at
out.
that point where people who are joining the police force now, they were not born when when I first started. So it feels weird, but it's been an eye blink of a career. Probably because I've loved it so much. Wouldn't trade a day of it. Um,
But
yeah,
let's talk
it's
about some
it's
of the
been
difficulties
a lot of
being
fun.
in that role for 25 years. That's a
There are no
course
difficulties. It's Wonderland, and
that's
there's no
Wonderland.
problems.
Lies. These are just all lies. These are all lies. But at the end of the day, there's it's just starting to come out now that first responders, police, fire department, paramedics, they're all coming to the front now and saying, this is a grind. This is a mental grind, and in some instances, that grind is too much. I don't know. Do you share the same sentiment? What's your opinion on that?
Well, 100%. Um, it is a grind, and if you're not mentally prepared for that, and a lot of people aren't. Let's not candy coat this. Going through police academy does not prepare you for the real world of policing. You have an idea of what it is. You may have gone on a ride along. You may have watched a lot of shows, but you just don't have the ability to kind of understand what it is until you actually get out there and do it. For some, it's exciting and it's invigorating. For others, it's very disturbing, and it hits something with them going, "Whew, I was not prepared for that." And if they don't deal with that question in their head right away, that can linger and grow, and become a bigger issue down the line. I think that
Such a
was
good point. Such a good point.
for me. When I started, I had an idea. Um, but again, I come from the world similar. I mean, and we come from the world of looking for that adrenaline and sports and that activity. And along with me being naturally ADHD, I love the action and the go, 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 and here we go, and see all the craziness that I could see. And I loved it. So I just sucked it up like a sponge and didn't necessarily feel like I had any issues with that. But it wasn't until my 12th year that I realized that I had been dealing with a lot of stuff poorly, and it all came crashing down. And it was back in 2012 when I went and sunk deep into clinical depression. And I
Mm.
didn't understand what it was. I thought I was going crazy. And I went to many doctor's appointments, and they weren't great either at diagnosing that.
Mm.
Well, this is up to 12 or 13 years ago. I remember going several times into the emergency room going, "I'm having a heart attack. You don't understand. I can't breathe." And I think I'm going nuts. And finally, a nurse came to me and put her hand on my shoulder, and she said, "You know what? I think you're just having severe anxiety attacks." And
Yeah.
I said, "What are you talking about?" And that made me feel worse. I'm like, "Oh man,
Yeah.
now I'm losing my mind, and I'm now just going to be permanently scared. What is happening?" And there was really no answer for it. Um,
I'm curious, Andrew, what's the cultural stigma of that moment feel like? Because I mean, if I'm not speaking out of turn, I would regret that. I don't imagine it's seen as operational. I don't imagine it's seen as you can still do your job. I feel like that fear moment kind of, hits hard. Was
mhm.
that the case for you? Like, did you think about your colleagues and your ability to still do your job?
It was devastating. Um, I thought in my head, I can't do my job anymore. Clearly,
Mm.
I'm going crazy. I'm not stable in my head because I can't get my brain to think right. And of course, I we had a stigma of guys having mental health problems. We used to say, "Oh, that guy, he's going to see Dr. Bonkers," and that was our uh, one registered psychologist that was part of our human resources department. And guys were sent to these psychologists if they were really in a lot of trouble, or if they were, really having, breakdowns and stuff, anger management issues, that kind of thing. So guys called it Dr. Bonkers, and they called it Dr. Bonkers. Jeepers. I've still heard the term within the last 5 years from our more senior guys.
Wow.
Um, and that was what it was. Like, you went and saw Dr. Bonkers in complete secrecy and privacy, and you didn't tell a soul, because that's the last thing you want people looking at you as. Oh, he's not right in the head. So when I realized, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to go see Dr. Bonkers, and I kept telling myself that, well, that just pivoted more into, oh, you're terrible. What is wrong with you? You've really broken. Like, now you've really sunk to a new low. And that was one of the lowest periods of my life. Like, I, I would say I was suicidal, but it sure did come across my brain. Like, I can't continue to live like this. I can't be this person who I am right now. I am extremely, extremely fortunate to have a pile of family and very, very close friends. And again, I'm a guy who, as Ian well knows, I'm a guy who will wear my, emotions and everything out loud. I'm not one to keep it in. So I threw up the white flag to my friends and family and said, I need help. Something's going wrong. I don't know. And it was great because I got surrounded by that. And then my wife was a great help. And let's go see the doctor. Let's take these steps. We don't have to share this with work. And so I limped through it for about a year without telling anyone at work. But I know I wasn't really that functional at work, doing what I was doing. Luckily, at that time, I wasn't on the street. I was a detective in the violent crimes area, so I was able to kind of work in a silo and not necessarily be in an emergency situation. So I think that also allowed me to keep it quiet and hide out a little bit more.
Now, this is exactly what we're working on with Best Medicine is we want to bring it to be okay to chat. We thought,
Mm-hmm.
let's get creative. Let's do some podcasting. Let's have those conversations. Let's bring
Mm-hmm.
testimonials on because what you're experiencing, somebody might be going through the exact same thing. They are afraid of the term
100%.
Dr. Bonkers. Well,
Yep.
let's fix that. Let's have fun with it. Let's make fun of the term Dr. Bonkers because what was
Mm-hmm.
this? 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago? Like let's
About 15
update
years
this.
ago now. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So it's time to make fun of that name because that name represents zero help at all.
Right.
And we thought, well, let's have a little bit of a lighter approach. And this is with one of the shows that we're working on is Laughter is the Best Medicine, where we're going to be hosting an event where stand-up comedy is going to be the main theme, where we can laugh at some of these things. Dr. Bonkers is definitely going to make it into the show. This is going to be a great time to make fun of that term, because at the end of the day, it's not a term that needs to be afraid or fearful.
Yeah, if you give a voice actor a character called Dr. Bonkers,
Let's hear it. Let's throw one out. I want to hear one. I want to throw out one. At least
just
one.
Just off the top of my head, the entrance into the welcome room would sound like, "Hello, make sure you have your bucket to carry all your problems."
That's good.
That's good.
That is good.
Yeah.
Now, no wonder you're afraid to go see Dr. Bonkers, because that guy's weird.
Yeah.
That guy's weird.
That guy's weird. Well, this is what we want to keep that going. So, I appreciate what you're sharing here, because this is important stuff.
Immensely important.
Extremely important. And I want to keep you tied in with everything that we're doing, because if you're all right with introducing us to more folks that would benefit from talking to us and getting this out there. This is what Michael and I are doing. We want to connect with folks, have these conversations, share testimonials. There's lots to talk about. So we want to tackle PTSD head on. We want to make sure that this community within Bad Medicine is going to be a community that makes sense for everyone. And let's find out what we can do. We already are working with a group in Kingston, Ontario, with Frontline Forward. They have a facility, brick and mortar. It's like a gym. It's got yoga. It's got financial planning and other types of pieces to the puzzle with PTSD support. This is another one. And this community is going to show you where you can go. If you want natural medicine, if you want to take a look at what's out there for natural supplements, including products like CBD, or what's going on in the world with Chinese medicine and lion's mane and psilocybin. Let's have those conversations. Let's open up those conversations.
There's so many things on the market that are, on the flip side, not necessarily, because we all know individual physiologies vary. There's some things that are not necessarily happening in accordance with some people's, health and wellness goals. And of course, by talking about it and giving a chance for everyone to review things, whether or not it's a comedy setting, or we're talking about our, brick and mortar partners that have these, outlets, these, clinics, if you will. And, there's no Dr. Bonkers on the premises. We're gonna keep that for the comedy stage. But where else can you go and say, I've been trying this product or this pharmaceutical or this nutraceutical or this natural, Eastern Chinese medicine approach, and I'm not really getting an opportunity to dialogue with someone who has a bit of a base knowledge beyond foundational. You're not just a retailer, you're not just someone at an outlet. You actually can sit down with me. You can access amazing people in a massive network, and they're all healthcare practitioners, whether it's the head, the heart, or the body whole. We need to be able to connect our voices to our intention, to our feelings, so that we can eventually find ourselves working out of whatever fog, whatever pit. I wore a really dark cloak myself for a number of years, and what can I do to take that off? The first thing we can do, and you nailed it on the head, Andrew, you got to put your hand up and you got to ask
Hmm.
for help. And culturally, we want to talk to as many people in as many different fields of employment as possible, because you talk about working with violent crime and you said that like it was nothing. You just sort of
Hmm.
like, yeah, no, I work as a detective in the violent crimes unit, and I was having, difficulty. I'm like, violent crimes? Who likes
Yeah.
to see that and deal with that? And I mean, the it's the fallout, I think, is what we're all experiencing as not just, the human race, but it's like we are a species, we are an animal, and that kind of trauma, I mean, it does something to us. So having all these amazing partners, having all these amazing conversations, splitting hairs between, what's important and what's not, it really is about just starting a conversation. And I love that you put your hand up, and I love that you asked for help, and I love that you're still here. And as Ian's friend, as my new friend, thank you just, so much for being so willing to talk to us and in such a, wholesome and open
Absolutely.
and, honestly, a really vulnerable way. And I thank you so much for wearing the uniform, for doing what you do. I don't know how long it's been since someone told you that, but I appreciate you. I thank you for showing up every day.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you. And it's been, like I said, I've loved my career, and I would never discourage anyone from going into the career. It's changed a lot since I joined, but I think that's just the progression of our culture anyway. Culture changes. Policing needs to change with the culture and the times. Unfortunately, people don't change that well individually, and I think that's having a lot of pressure put on our senior officers right now. They're not adapting to the fast-paced change of our culture, the way things have moved. I mean, we just take a look at the George Floyd scenario wasn't more than what 5 years ago, but that impacted the world of policing, not American policing. Even though we're a
Yeah.
completely different country, we got treated the exact same way. Waves of defund the police, and like it was just a really rough couple of years, and our senior members did not handle that well. From just the pressures that we were getting from politicians and society that were all wrong. We knew they were wrong, but there was nothing we weren't allowed to have a voice at that time. It was
Right.
you shut up and you're
Yeah.
just going to hear this.
And
And
it's the personnel inside the policies, inside the politics. Did you
mhm.
feel like the personnel, the individual, was being overlooked because of this sort of terrible tragedy, really?
Yeah, oh, 100%. And we've had guys, we call them kind of like retired on, we call them rods, retired on duty. They just kind of mentally retired and just show up, and they're not really engaged anymore because they've kind of just given up on what they were doing and what they felt was important, and they were doing good work, and then it was like, really, this is the outcome, this is what all my work goes to, is this um, this backlash and this ridiculous notions, and then the lack of fight on the other side. Like, where's our representative to say, no, that's not the case, or it wasn't there? And so we're all just kind of sitting and suffering all together without, having any voice to kind of push back on it. And I know we've never asked to be anybody's best friend. We're not showing up to celebrations or We're not the firemen who show up to save the day. We're showing up on people's worst day, and their
Mm.
worst moments. It's the only reason they call us. So that repeated over and over and over and over, thousands and thousands of times, and then layer that on top of with the social noise that's going on,
Yeah.
it compounded the issue.
Mm.
Thankfully, we've had a lot more representation about mental health and mental health awareness, and hiring on more personnel to be that support network. And I think we are slowly, we're not 100% there yet, but we're slowly chipping away at that wall of shame, like the shame
Stigma.
portion about it,
Stigma.
stigma.
Yeah. It's a big
We
word.
we are definitely rolling down that road, and I think the people that are coming on board now are going to have those supports in place, and that conversation is happening a lot more. That they're not going to feel as stigmatized. I think the stigma will always be there. I don't know if we'll ever
Sure.
get rid of that
You're
100%.
You can't
Yeah,
handle it.
right.
Yeah.
But I think we lessen that by kind of, I do it all the time. I have lots of friends, lots of colleagues and stuff that I share openly about my experience and tell them. And I've actually had many friends who have broken down in front of me going, I'm glad you said that. I don't know what's going on with me. And I've,
Wow.
I've been able to direct them to get the help that they need. And that has been one of the blessings in my life. So I take the experience I had and go, well, that's actually now a blessing because now I'm able to help lots more people with those conversations, with getting them help, just directing them and try stuff. Like for
Yeah.
me, I remember a friend who was going through a bunch of stuff, and they go, "Yeah, the psychologist told me I need to get a hobby because I don't have a hobby." I was sitting there thinking, this was about 10 years ago. Yeah, I don't have a hobby. Well, as you can see behind me, I've got a big hobby now. I have I loved woodworking, and I decided I'm going to start doing some woodworking on my time off. And now it's just developed into a massive passion. I just love coming into my shop and shutting my brain off and
Yeah.
just working with my creative side of my brain, the physical side of it, and just going to town. And man, I can lose myself just listening to podcasts or audiobooks. And it's been so healthy to have another outlet to, you know, focus on, like, and not just the career or all the negative stuff that's going on with, bills and all that stuff. You just come in here and go, perfect. And
Well, and that's
that's
kind of
one
what
thing.
we were coming. We've labeled that in like in some of our questions. That was gonna be one of our final questions. Is Andrew, what is
Sorry, I
it that
jumped
you do?
ahead.
No, yeah. What is it that you do for best medicine? What is your best medicine? Like for
Hmm.
me, I walk the dogs every single day. It's 5 kilometers guaranteed, and that just helps my brain get flushed and get ready for the day. You've got woodworking now, and that's
Hmm.
that's that's got to be an important piece of the puzzle that we share, that everybody needs to think about a hobby, need to think
Hmm.
about what's your best medicine, and so that we can dive into that. Right now, Michael's is renovating his house. He's on
Yeah,
his
awesome.
I'm on week 5 of doing some pretty big changes to one of our outbuildings. Of course, we have a large family. We're living here on a hobby farm. And of
Nice.
course, one of the things I will say about not only taking on new skills and practicing them, I commend you, by the way. I know a lot of the tools that we're they're hanging in the background there. My father-in-law is a cabinetry maker, a journeyman carpenter. He's had a lot of time with all these tools. I'm trying to learn some of these things, and it's very hands on. And I gotta say, I can say man glitter without hesitation and know that other people, whether they are carpenters or chippies or people who are like, yeah, no, I got man glitter. It's usually in my pocket or on my shirt. And we all know we're talking about sawdust, but I also remember how important it is for me to not only enjoy what I'm doing as a hobby, because like yourself, Andrew, I didn't have hobbies for a long time. I was, straight out of high school, always an actor, pushing for my career. I married my best friend. She and I had, loads of kids. We're here on the farm. It's this wonderful dream. But honestly, if I take myself too seriously at work, or if I take myself too seriously at what I do outside of work to be myself, then eventually all I see is a fear based cycle of decisions that make me, I have to be the best at this. I have to excel at this. And the fun falls out because it becomes a passionate execution and and I'm like, and I'm like, no, this is about losing yourself completely. The smells, yes, sawdust, very much the smells, or dirt, or gardening. They spent money to prove that gardening was good for you, that there's antidepressant spores in the dirt. I'm like, pick some up, stick it in your face, save the money on the tests and the data. But
So true.
having a hobby is great, but making fun of your hobby while you do it, and or do it poorly, I think is also as important. Because I made a birdhouse, it killed the bird, like it's like, make fun, right? Have fun while making fun. And like, again, no fear-based decision making, no feeling inadequate, just do, even if you do it poorly. So I applaud the hobby. Way to go, man. Glitter.
Man glitter all the way. I do.
Could you see my sign? I actually have a thing. It says sawdust is man glitter on the wall. That's funny.
No, I did not see the sign. I couldn't. No, go get it. Yeah, he's going to get it. Ian, he's going to get it.
I love that you guys have man glitter on the brain.
Yes,
it's amazing. There it is.
I am clogged. Just
read it out. Read it out.
Read it. It's sawdust is man glitter.
Sawdust is man glitter.
I'm gonna go ahead and make some clogs, and I will clog for the awesomeness. Yes, glitterized. You saw it here first.
Right.
Well, you know what? We'll wrap it up by saying thank you very much for your time. This is the plan, is to have lots of these conversations and just keep them going. So if you know people that need to have conversations with us and join the community, send them our way. Anybody listening that wants to get involved or have a conversation, what's going on with this show, this event, this PTSD and mental health awareness? It's October 11th in Chilliwack, British Columbia. We are holding that event, and there is a big theme of PTSD and mental health awareness for the first responders, the indigenous communities, and of course the veterans. We want to have these conversations ongoing will literally Dr. Bonkers does not exist. He's not real. So we'll thank you very much, Andrew. Appreciate it. On our next show, we want to certainly have more folks in the industry that can talk to from a medical standpoint. We're going to be talking to other veterans, and of course we want to hear what you guys would like us to talk about. So send in some suggestions, let us know. Michael, any last words?
Well, as far as last words go, Ian, you're always so kind to offer this space to me. So I think about myself as a human, as a father, as a husband, as a just a guy. I want to say thank you, Staff Sergeant Andrew MacLeod, for everything you do and for joining us here today. And I gotta say, I've been thinking about some of these numbers, and I'm sure that some of these numbers are fairly. Unfortunately, they are a regular occurrence in law enforcement and for first responders, I'm sure. But slow down, everybody. It is summer. We get it. It's beautiful. The music sounds better at a little bit of speed. You got that wind in your hair feeling. We are creatures of habit. And if we let our guard down continually, lives continue to get lost. And we've seen some really, really unfortunate numbers. Motorcyclists being hit and killed. An associate of mine is in a full body cast right now. They had to pull his motorcycle 35 feet out of a tree. So I'm thinking of him. I'm thinking about everyone. We're all family members to someone. We all love people at home. So just remember, let life take a minute so that a minute doesn't take your life. I love you all. Please slow down. Tell people you love them. Wish them a safe drive. Remind them to, hey, if you're backing up in a parking lot, maybe you don't have your radio on. Little tiny things. If we all play the consideration game, we can all be here long enough to play it for a good long time. So, Ian, my friend, thank you so much again for just bringing me to this wonderful world. We are, of course, looking for the best medicine, and we're here to talk about it. We're here to review everything, and we are so glad that you spent your time with us today. And again, Andrew, thank you for everything. Keep it up.
Take care, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care, all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
We did that. Perfect. Okay. We're doing it.